Hi everyone, I'm back this week with another garden tour. It's the first week of June and everything is blossoming and changing. Again, it's amazing from week to week how much things change and grow. This week I was able to get my first harvest from my vegetable garden. It was just romaine lettuce and baby Swiss chard, but it's still really rewarding that this early in the season we're able to start harvesting. And I really can't wait until we start getting more tomatoes and squash and more lettuce, because the way I'm harvesting it, it will be a continuous harvest, which is wonderful. I want to show you how much things are changing this week and how far along the garden is coming. It's the middle of the day, so I haven't done any weeding today because it's very hot right now. I spent the morning over volunteering at a different garden and helping them out. And so I haven't gotten a chance to weed out my own garden yet, but I'll probably be doing that later. But I wanted to show you how much things are growing and so you can see some stuff that's happening. So let's get right into it. So here's a full shot of the vegetable garden, and coming over here you can see how the lettuce is coming. I harvested some of this on Sunday. And again, the way I harvest this to have a continuous harvest is I take the bigger leaves around the outside and I leave the smaller leaves in the center to continue to grow, and it'll just continue to grow more center leaves and the outside leaves will continue to grow. So I was able to get a good harvest from that this week. And this baby Swiss chard over here I haven't harvested from yet because it's still a little bit too small, but I harvested some of the romaine and I harvested some of the Swiss chard from over here. And as you can still see, it's still growing really well. Everything looks dry because it's the middle of the day. Over here we have our cucumbers. The neighbor's dogs are barking. We have some marigolds here as companion plants. We have our cucumbers. Over here we have our watermelons that are all doing really well. And they are companion planted with the sunflowers. Over here are the beans. The pole beans are doing really well. I haven't gotten anything off of them yet, but they are looking close. They're starting to get new leaves and new buds on them, so hopefully that will be happening soon. Over here we have our squash, which are doing well, and then I also have these baby apple trees here that popped up from seeds that I'm going to have to transplant eventually, but I'm waiting until they get a little bit bigger. This is the yellow squash bed. No blossoms yet, but that's expected. In about a month they'll start getting really huge and blossoming. Over here are the zucchini, and as you can see there's new growth in the center of this 8-ball zucchini, so that might turn into blossoms soon or maybe not. The yellow zucchini here is also getting new growth in the middle that might turn into buds, or it might turn into more leaves. This is just a regular old green zucchini. Same here and here, and everything is growing a lot. Like, I feel like this one and the 8-ball have doubled in size since last week. I have the covers on my tomatoes, and here I have the beefsteak tomatoes, and they're doing really well because not only because of the covers that hold the moisture in, but because of the marigolds that are a great companion plant. They feed each other. Then we also have some mushrooms growing here. These are not edible mushrooms, but they help break down the soil and re-nourish it. So if you have mushrooms in your garden like that, just leave them. It's nothing really to worry about, as long as they don't get too numerous. We have more tomatoes over there. It's very humid in there. Over here is my other tomato bed, and these tomatoes aren't as lively as the other ones because they don't have the companion plant in here besides this one little marigold that's still coming up. And then there's something, let's go over to the other side. There's something popping up in the middle here that looks like it might be corn, but I didn't plant any corn. I think the squirrels planted that there. I'm not sure what that is. There's more tomatoes. And so yeah, the garden, the vegetable garden is looking really great. Then we can head over here and look at the strawberries. I'm really excited about because I bought these last week, if you remember. We have strawberry plants, and these are starting to get little strawberries on them. I have one here, you see it? And then there's one in the center of that flower. There's another one here, right there. And then I thought I found another one on one of the other plants too. But I have at least 3 strawberries started, which is great. I'll be happy if I only get 3 because it's my first year growing strawberries. So any crop or any harvest that I get from these, I'm going to be really happy with. And then these are perennial and they're continuous. So even after these strawberries, I harvest these, more will come. And then also they'll come back next year too, which is great. And over here we have the Himrod white grapes, which I don't expect to get anything off of these this year because they are only second year grapes. So maybe next year or the year after. And over here is the bed that this is my wild bed. I let it do what it wants. I don't pull anything, I don't plant anything. We have some coneflowers coming up. And coneflowers do really well if you just leave them alone. If you neglect them, they tend to thrive. We have our spiderwort here. And it's starting to blossom. And it gets really pretty purple flowers on it. Like this one. All those buds will open up. And then they open up during the day and they close up at nighttime. And then over here, more coneflowers. We have the primrose that's done for the season. There's a Star of Bethlehem back here. Coming around this way, we have this mystery plant that I thought was, I can't remember what I thought it was, but it's never blossomed, so it's hard to tell. We have hostas, more hostas, the little dwarf irises. But if I remember correctly, these don't blossom. These ones don't blossom until September. More grapes. That again, I don't expect to get anything from these this year because they're only second year grapes. My stone crab is getting really big. I love the stone crab. These are minimal care. You just water them once in a while. Let the soil dry out in between waterings. Make sure they're well drained. And then they pretty much just do well on their own. You don't have to worry about pruning them or anything. And in the fall, or more toward August, they'll get white flowers on them. And then my clematis, that is very healthy, but has not had blossoms on it yet. It's healthier than what it was last year, which is good. So hopefully maybe next year or later this year we'll get some blossoms on there. Over here, this poor apple tree has been eaten alive by the gypsy moths. I have sprayed it with neem oil to help them keep them under control. Gypsy moths are not from here. They don't have very many natural predators, and they destroy everything. So if you see, this is what the gypsy moth caterpillar looks like right there. You see them, kill them. They're bad. I am all for letting things live and exist, but the birds don't keep up with them, and they eat things alive. Like, look at this. They destroy the crops. So there, forsythia bushes. My lilacs back here, the white lilacs, they need to be pruned back. We have this tree here which I believe is a variety of azalea or rhododendrons. It looks like an azalea tree to me though. They're so beautiful. And the bees love this. The bees are always all over this tree. Let me get a full view for you. Isn't that nice? And over here is my surprise lilac bush that didn't get any blossoms last year, but this year it's full of blossoms because I took a risk and pruned it back last year, and it ended up getting all these pretty pink lilacs on it. And that's still in full bloom, so that won't be pruned back again until all these are opened and dried up. Your full view there. These irises just keep blossoming and blossoming. I love it. I really hope that in future years that these irises blossom the same way these few plants have blossomed, because they are just continuously getting new buds on them, which is great. And those just gorgeous big yellow irises. And then my roses have started to blossom. This one is a nice pretty peach color rose, and it has more blossoms on it. And this rose bush, or these two rose bushes, will continue to blossom throughout the year as long as I stay on top of deadheading them. There's a little volunteer rose bush down here that has yet to blossom, but I haven't pruned it back yet either because I just want it to get bigger before I do that. More roses. And this one gets like a darker pink color rose. It looks like one rose bush standing back, but it's actually two separate ones. And this is where I cut back all the daffodils last week. And again, I just leave it like this because it acts like natural mulch. And then the leaves are really good for the soil. And you don't have to worry about it spreading too much, because things like daffodils and irises and tulips, if you do this with them, they spread by root. They don't spread by leaf. So it won't cause them to be too invasive. The bachelor buttons, which I'm going to deadhead that one. And this one. And the seeds are all dried up. So hopefully, I really hope the bachelor buttons spread because I just love them. We have this yellow bush here that is starting to blossom. You can start to see the yellow flowers. And it has buds all over it that you probably can't see on camera, but it will be full of yellow flowers, which are really great. And I identified these. I bought them and didn't pay attention to what they were called. I just bought them because they were pretty. And they're called edging. I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. Lobelius. So that's what those are. And the geraniums. Do a little round shot. We have this sunflower that volunteered that's doing great. Again, I think the squirrels planted that there. We have our ice plant that needs deadheading. And I think the ice plants are just such cool looking plants. And from what I've read about them, they will spread and they make good ground coverage. And they're perennial, so they'll come back each year. We have our cottage roses here. And those are so pretty. And this one was struggling a little bit when I first planted it, but it seems to come back, or it's made a comeback. It's nice and perky and getting more buds on it now. We have our Russian sage that's getting bigger, and I just love the sage. It smells so good. All you have to do is touch it like this, and then smell, like, it smells so good, so fragrant. We have our moss rose here, and these they look like they're closed up a little bit. Oh. But they're getting new buds on them, thriving. Our lilies over here that they didn't blossom. The blossoms all fell off before they opened up, but they're healthy and they will come back next year probably with blossoms. I think they just were in a little bit of shock from being transplanted, but they're still healthy otherwise. And then we have the front of the house is looking very lively. And Nick is always saying that he loves this view of things because it looks so full and green and nice. And he's always complimenting my hostas and saying how they're thriving. We have our geranium pot here with more of the edging lobelias. So pretty. And it needs a little bit of deadheading, but they're not completely dead yet. Our balloon flowers. I love watching the balloon flowers grow because they just grow so much each week. I feel like they grow at least 6 inches a week. And they will end up being like up to here. I remember last year they were almost up to the window once they had the blossoms on them. So they will just shoot right up there. We have more mystery plants here that have never blossomed, so it's hard to tell what they are. The hens and chicks. And I love hens and chicks. Again, they're so easy. You just plant them, make sure they have good drainage, water them, make sure the soil is completely dry between waterings, and they will thrive. And this one seems to be doing even better. It was really healthy before. It seems to be doing even better since I planted it like inside of this rock, basically. This rock has like a natural hole there. And I think the heat and dryness from the rock is really, they're really loving it. So it's good. We have the hollyhocks that I planted this year. These are perennials and they will come back next year. And when I first planted them, they went into a little bit of shock and lost some leaves. But now they're getting blossoms. They haven't opened up yet, so I'm not sure if the blossoms will turn into more leaves or flowers, but either way, I'm happy that they're doing well. We have our other annual pot here on the steps. Hostas that have not got any shoots on them yet. They get really pretty white flowers that come up in them. More hostas. And then these, I had planted bulbs that had said forget-me-nots, but this is clearly not a forget-me-not. This is definitely an iris. So someone at the greenhouse or wherever I got the bulbs from mislabeled things, because these are definitely irises, which are great. I love irises, so it's still a win for me. More hostas, more irises that were. And I had planted the bulbs for these when I thought they were forget-me-nots. I planted them evenly spaced. But as you can see, there's a big space here and a bunch all together. And that's because the squirrels dug them up. And I ended up just replanting them where I thought they went. And so they ended up bunched together. The giant hostas there. And then let's work our way this way. We have our chives. And this week I got new little rocks. I love rocks. One of the things I love about gardening is just having rocks in the garden too, not just flowers. But I got these 2 today. And then I have all sorts of them. My little gnome in his house. And these chives. The tips, I think, are getting sun scalded, or it might have been sun scalded from the other week when it was really hot. But the actual plant itself seems healthy. It hasn't got any shoots in it yet. So I'm hoping it blossoms. I've seen other chives like this that have blossoms already, but it might be a different breed. I remember this one, I think, blossomed in July last year, but I'm not 100% sure. More irises that, again, I thought were something else, but I'm really happy that I have the irises too. I love irises. The peony tree that is done blossoming for the season, but is still really beautiful either way. My marigold pot here, all of them are starting to get their second sets of leaves here. which is really exciting. I love watching marigolds grow because they get just the basic leaves and they start to get their zigzag looking leaves, and then after this, in a couple of weeks, they're going to have blossoms on them, and I think it's great. And here I have black eye Susans, and then a marigold that volunteered. It probably was a seed that spread from this pot up here. Over here we have, again, more irises that are starting to get blooms on them. So hopefully those will open up soon. These are really pretty purple irises, and they're kind of small, but they're really beautiful. The tiger lilies that have no shoots yet. These are more of a late summer. Oh, actually it does have a shoot. Look at that. I spoke too soon. Let's see if I can get it on camera. Right there. See it? These bloom later in the summer usually, but maybe we'll get some early blooms on this. That would be great. The wild geraniums, and a lot of people pull this because this part looks like weed. Like it looks like a weed when it's growing in your garden, but once it starts to blossom, I think it's beautiful. So I just leave it, and it's natural to this area, so why not let it grow? And then this little shrub, I still haven't been able to positively identify it yet. I think it's a hydrangea, but it hasn't blossomed, or it might be some type of maybe the plant identifier I use identified it as stonecrop, but I don't think that's right. So this shrub here that someone threw the hose on is doing nice. Over here we have the azaleas, the flaming azaleas that are still blossoming, and it looks like they're almost done for the season. There's been a lot that have fallen, which is fine. And then I'll have to, after they've all fallen, I'll have to prune it back a little bit, and it'll be nice and healthy. Lilies. That are doing really well. They have blossoms started. We have more hostas. And then there's lots of weeds in here, but there's also some lilies coming. There's chickadees. There's some type of vine that I didn't plant. To me, it almost looks like a sweet pea vine. So I'm thinking it might have volunteered from sweet peas that Nick had planted sort of in this area last year. He had them in pots, but maybe one fell. And then we have our cactuses here. Let me give you a shot of all this. This is what the side of the house looks like. Like that. And then over here we have the cactuses. Again, something ate some of these, so 2 of them are struggling. This one's doing okay, and this guy's really healthy. He's starting to get a little blossom on him. My knockout roses, that as you can see are starting to blossom. And these, as long as you deadhead them, they will continue to blossom all summer. I have countless blossoms on it right now. Just viewing it like this, I see at least 10 blossoms. More hostas. There's something here that I planted that I'm assuming I thought it was an annual last year and it came back, so I'm okay with it. More sunflowers. Look how much bigger they've gotten since last week. I feel like last week they were all kind of like small, you know. Now they're all getting their second and third sets of leaves. This is the rose bush that I rescued from Walmart. That they were just letting it die. It was all dried up and it was really struggling. And as you can see, I found a good spot for it. Got rid of all the dead stuff. And it's a knockout rose bush. So again, it will continuously blossom as long as it stays deadheaded. but it has lots of little blossoms like this one. So it's making a good comeback and it's getting healthy. More sunflowers that are doing great. I'm really excited for the sunflowers because pretty soon they're going to start just shooting right up there, and they're going to be beautiful. More lilies. And I thought I had hosta around here somewhere too, but maybe not. And some primrose, and then this little shrub here. I think this might also be a variety of azalea, but I'm not sure. And then we have our apple tree here. This is a second or third year apple tree. We planted it last year. I think it was a second year apple tree when we bought it. I didn't expect to get any apples, and I still don't, but some of the blossoms have started to swell a little bit. So we might get a couple, or we might not. And that's okay. And again, the gypsy moths have been just terrible this year. Look at that. Poor tree. We have, this is a variety of geranium down here. And we have this other apple tree that again is getting eaten alive by the gypsy moths. I put neem oil on it and it has helped, but they're just so out of control. But it's still healthy and alive, so that's the good news. And then over here, along our hedge, this along with the neighbor's property, we have more of the bleeding geraniums here. They're doing really well. There's some irises hidden down there. They blossomed earlier this year a little bit, but I think this bush kind of starves them out a little bit, which, I mean, it's okay. More of the bleeding geraniums or wild geraniums. Look how beautiful those are. And people always pull them, but they get such pretty flowers on them when they're left alone. And then we have our forsythia bush. Some wild daisies here that popped up on their own. Over here, we have a peony and some lilies. I don't know if you can see that. Try not to invade the neighbor's privacy too much because this is right along our edge. But peonies and lilies. More daisies here. This bush is about to get blossoms on it. I'm not sure what it is, but it's got little buds on it, so hopefully we'll see soon. Another wild daisy here. Or actually, the place I volunteer at has a bunch of stuff similar to this, and it was labeled coleus. So I'll have to ID that, because maybe it's not a daisy. Maybe it just looks like a daisy. We have more peonies here that are about to blossom. And then working our way around the back. Neighbor's dogs. We have currants here. These are black raspberries that Nick grows. He has currants over there. More peonies. And more peonies. And this one, the ants are all over it, but it looks like it's going to open up soon. And yeah, I think that's everything for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and I really hope you enjoy the videos. If there's anything else you'd like me to see, or you'd like to see, or like me to show you, feel free to mention it in the comments. And come back next week to see more. Have a great week, and see you then. Bye.